Good evening. I can give you an update on the 4G, 5G so-called small cell cell phone towers installed in Santa Rosa's residential zones because I made a California public records request and I've got all the data. And it's not good. You're not going to be happy what you hear. So why did the Santa Rosa City Council quietly pass a revision to the City Council Policy 300-04 on Valentine's Day, 2017, to attempt to pave the way for private wireless companies to install 72 to 720 full-power cell phone towers in Santa Rosa neighborhoods with no design review, no public hearings, no notification, and for severely under-market rents, $350 a year per pole, securing no public benefits for the city of Santa Rosa in the process. This is a terrible deal, and you have an out. You have the ability to cancel this contract due to Verizon's fraud in the inducement. Neither Nexius nor Verizon has an easement to broadcast or transmit RF microwave radiation onto residents' properties or into their homes. You can cancel this contract, and you must, because you must have a public process. It says so right in your city code. Santa Rosa needs to immediately stop construction on these ugly, intrusive, full-power cell phone towers 15 to 50 feet from people's homes. The city needs to start over with a public process, as specified by Chapters 20-44 of the Santa Rosa Municipal Code, and they need to hold public hearings like every other cell phone tower you ever considered or installed in private or public land over the last 25 years. You don't get an out because of 3300-04. That doesn't pave your way to get an out. You have municipal code that you must follow, and you are failing in your duties when you're not following it. Anyway, you slice it. Installing 72 cell towers, which is just phase one of many more, means that every part of this project is a major wireless activity defined in your code, and as such requires a public review process. It makes no difference if you take one large cell tower and break it up into 3 pieces. It's the same amount of power. It's the same amount of RF radiation sprayed into our homes. It's the same amount of visual blight in our neighborhoods. So you could say we have a phase one project that's the equivalent of installing 24 new macro cell towers in Santa Rosa, and this is just phase one. There might be 10 more. No public process, no notification. This is wrong. Each of you took an oath to uphold the U.S. and California constitutions. You each have a duty to protect the Santa Rosa residents' privacy and safety in their own homes, and you're failing in your duties. These so-called small cell towers violate both Santa Rosans' privacy and safety. The towers are part of an envisioned national surveillance and crowd control grid. Once these towers get installed,
thank you. Alex Kron. Let me remind the folks in the chambers, I know a lot of you are not regulars here, but the custom and the practice of this chambers is that we don't clap, we don't express our like or dislike of speakers verbally. If you'd like to show your support, wave your hands. That's how we do this more efficiently. The next speaker can hear his name called, and we'll get through this.
Thanks. Sorry,
Mr. Kron.
I didn't know that. Thank you. Immediately stop the installation of 4G, 5G so-called cell phone towers in Santa Rosa's residential zones because installation of these towers is unconstitutional. And the City Council neglected their own municipal codes by not putting these towers through a public review process, the same process every other cell tower proposed for Santa Rosa has had to follow. The World Health Organization classified wireless radiation as a Group 2B carcinogen in 2011, the same as lead, methyl mercury, and DDT. Now the majority of the 31 scientists on the WHO committee want to raise it to a Group 1 definite human carcinogen based on scientific studies done from 2011 to 2018. Last week I submitted to you 20-plus peer-reviewed scientific studies that show the harmful effects of living in proximity to cell phone towers. I hope you had a chance to look at them. You have approved Verizon to come into town and deploy 72 microwave radiating cells on light and utility poles all over town, and the majority of them are in residential zones just feet away from homes. I watched the video of our city council meeting last February 14th, and I recommend others do the same. It's infuriating. Miss Canada, representing Verizon, came in here and got everything she wanted. She, representing one of the largest and richest companies in the world, asked to take away the rights of our town's citizens, and you said, sure, here you go. Now, I bring up mainly the harmful health effects of wireless radiation because to me that is clearly the most important issue, but there are many other reasons this is a bad idea. For one, these cells will absolutely decrease the property value of the homes they are placed by, with no say from owners. This is not fair. The environmental impact is disastrous, as electricity is being sprayed in the air in hopes someone's device will catch a speck of it. These are extremely inefficient, unsustainable, and will leave a massive carbon footprint. After our fires, you are placing huge power supplies and lithium batteries on old wooden telephone poles? Yeah, that's a great idea. This is a huge fire hazard. I am all for growth in technology, but it has to be done in a responsible way. There are better options than this. Fiber optics, Ethernet, landlines for homes and businesses provide safer, faster, more secure, and energy-efficient access to the internet and communications. Do not listen to Verizon. We do not need or want them. Mr. McHenry may be a good engineer, but he is clueless on the biological and health effects of this technology. His vision of the city is hazardous, and the city needs to change its paradigm or be stopped immediately. Bottom line, for some reason, you guys made a big mistake last February 14th, and it is really bad. Please, do the right thing. You have a chance to fix it.
Maxwell Kron, followed by Katie Jamm.
Just press the button.
Sir, what are you doing, please?
I'm going to be showing a video.
Mr. McGivern?
I'm just setting up AV. I'm not talking.
Is the timer running? Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to show a video that shows substantial evidence that proves no significant gap in cellular coverage in Santa Rosa in these neighborhoods. January 27, 2017.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Well, you heard it.
And at the very top of the pole, which you see right there, is where they're going to put that antenna. What do we have for a radio frequency radiation meter here? I'm going to just go ahead and focus on that. It looks like that's two or three. Can we now try to place a cell phone call on Verizon? This is to prove that there is no significant gap in coverage in Verizon right here in this neighborhood. Go ahead and place your call. Move a little closer, please. Who's talking?
Hello? Hello? Hey, hear you loud and clear. Say something.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mom. Bye. Got it? Yep, bye. Bye.
So what we see is there's no significant gap in coverage right here at Link Lane. There's sufficient radio frequency microwave radiation to place a cell phone call. Here we are in Santa Rosa on 1010 King Street. Once again, we have this cell phone, this utility pole with radios, and this has a power supply on the pole, and at the top is where they're thinking of putting an antenna. Looks like we're going to make that call.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, we're 2 for 2. Perfect coverage here. There's no significant gap in coverage for Verizon at this location either. Now we're in Santa Rosa by Montgomery High School. We know that the high school fought a cell phone tower at the football field, and that project died. Now, why they would want to have a cell phone tower right here on this telephone pole makes no sense to me. But what kind of radiation do we have right here at the front of Montgomery High so they can use their phones at school? There's the ring. Looks like it's going to go through.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Katie.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
No significant gap in coverage right here in front of Montgomery High School. All right, let's move on. Now we're at 730 Aston Avenue in Santa Rosa, and this one now has its power supply and radios already attached to the pole, and then at the very top is where the antenna would go.
Thank you.
Yep, I can hear the ring.
Katie, Jan?
It's John.
John?
Is it on?
1 sec.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yes. It is on.
Okay, sorry. There it is. Hi there. My name is Katie John. I was born and raised in Santa Rosa and currently work in town as a registered nurse. I am here today to express my opposition to the so-called small cell towers that are being deployed throughout Santa Rosa next to schools, including Montgomery High School and Hidden Valley Elementary, and within residential neighborhoods. This has been done so without public notice. As more and more scientific evidence comes out showing the harmful effects of wireless radiation, countries and local governments around the world are taking drastic measures to protect their citizens. However, Santa Rosa seems to be headed in the opposite direction. I'd like to quote the mayor of the first town in Israel to ban Wi-Fi from public schools. He says, and I quote, "If there is any doubt about our children, there is no doubt." Do you have any doubts, council members? Are you sure what you are allowing is safe? Let me ask you, would you want one of these cell towers outside of your child's or loved one's or even your own bedroom window? Really look at the facts and ask yourself that question. Montgomery High School fought to reject a cell tower from being placed on their campus for obvious reasons. Now one has been approved on Hegeman Drive, as you saw in the video, 50 feet from their front office without any notice to the faculty, students, or their students' parents. What a slap in the face to our community. This is rightfully going to make a lot of people very angry. What's the goal of a community? To better the next generation. How can you allow our next generation to be exposed to harm from these cell towers feet from their bedrooms and schools, exposing them to constant microwave radiation? It's not a question of if it causes harm, it does cause harm. There's profound, concrete, scientific evidence to support this. Please, do the right thing and stop this before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you. Judith Monroy. She'll be followed by Deborah Crone.
Good evening. I live at 721. Could I have the projector, please?
It'll come up in a minute.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, there's so much equipment there that it won't even all fit in the screen. Can I have the projector working, please? Okay. There's one, and now an antenna is coming on top. There's more, and there's more. And here's where I live. That stuff is almost in my bedroom. I have grandchildren that I'm going to keep from coming for sleepovers and to stay with me. I'm worried about my health. I had the smart meter removed 2 years ago when I moved in, and I don't allow Wi-Fi. And now I've got this 24/7 monstrosity in my front yard. My mother owns the house and she was planning to sell. No one in their right mind our property values have just hit rock bottom. Who's going to want to show up and live beside this awful mess? I am asking you to please rescind your permission for permits. If no other reason, if you don't care about us and our neighborhoods, to rescind the permits because you were lied to. Verizon has done nothing but use deception in order to get these things put in lickety-split. They started rigging and digging between Christmas and New Year's, 3 trucks at a time, 5 men working feverishly because it's easier to say, I'm sorry, than to ask permission. So this is what's going to be on top of us. There it is. It's practically in my window. You were deceived. They called in their evidence or explaining about the mini cell. They didn't mention tower. It sounds like, here it is, wireless small cell. It sounds like a postage stamp that they were just going to lick and stick on the pole. Also, they did not let the neighbors know. Here we have signatures. As soon as I found out, and they tried not to let me know, I got 7 signatures of all my neighbors who were closest at hand.
Ms. Monroe, you need to wrap up your
They
time
never
is up.
received notification. Only one neighbor, and he doesn't speak English very well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Monroe.
Please
Deborah
look
Crone.
after us.
Deborah will be followed by Philip Crone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. My name is Deborah Crone. I'm here to voice my concern about the 72 small cell towers that have been approved. I've been a resident of Santa Rosa since 1975, and I would like to share important information from the U.S. Department of Health and the California Department of Health regarding recent advancements in the understanding of health effects caused by high-frequency microwave radiation. I wish to officially submit 7 copies of each publication into the public record. First, this is from the United States Department of Health's National Toxicology Program. Partial results from the U.S. National Toxicology Program study were released last year, which found brain tumors and tumors near the heart in laboratory animals exposed to wireless radiation. This was a $25 million study done in the United States. Here is a response from Otis Brawley, MD, American Cancer Society medical officer, after the partial results were released. Quote, for years, the understanding of the potential risk of radiation from cell phones has been hampered by a lack of good science. This report from the National Toxicology Program is good science. The NTP report linking radiofrequency radiation to 2 types of cancer marks a paradigm shift in our understanding of radiation and cancer risk. These findings are unexpected. We wouldn't reasonably expect non-ionizing radiation to cause these tumors. This is a striking example of why serious study is so important in evaluating cancer risk. It is interesting to note that early studies on the link between lung cancer and smoking had similar resistance, since theoretical arguments at the time suggested that there could not be a link. The following are excerpts from a publication issued by the California Department of Health's Division of Environmental and Occupational Disease Control, advising, quote, how to reduce exposure to radiofrequency energy. Some scientists and public health officials believe that radio frequency energy may affect human health. This guidance document describes radio frequency energy, lists some of the potential health concerns, and provides guidance on how people can reduce their exposure. Radio frequency energy may be linked to certain types of cancer and other health effects, including brain cancer and tumors of the acoustic nerve and salivary glands, low sperm counts, and inactive or less mobile sperm, headaches and effects on learning and memory, hearing, behavior, and sleep. And what about our children? Children may be at more risk for harm from exposure to radio frequency energy because radio frequency energy can reach a larger area of a child's brain than an adult's brain. A child's brain and body grows and develops through the teen years. During this time, the body may be more easily affected by radio frequency energy, and the effect may be more harmful and longer lasting. We appreciate your consideration of this information when considering whether or not these towers should be erected. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip Kron, followed by Vic Trioni.
My name is Phil Crone, and I'm also here to oppose the small cells that are being placed around town. I'm here to just briefly read a couple paragraphs from a letter that you sent to the Capitol, state Capitol. You sent it to Senator Hueso with copies to Mike McGuire, and the letter is signed by Chris Corsi. And it says, the City of Santa Rosa respectfully opposes your SB 649 related to the permitting of wireless and small cell telecommunications facilities. The proposal unnecessarily and unconstitutionally strips local authority over public property and shuts out public input and local discretion by eliminating consideration of the aesthetic and environmental impacts of small cells. This proposal would prohibit local discretionary review of small cell wireless antennas, including equipment located on existing structures or located on new pole structures or non-pole structures, including those within the public right-of-way and buildings. The proposal preempts adopted local land use plans by mandating that small cells be allowed in all zones as a use by right. As such, the proposal provides a de facto exemption to the California Environmental Quality Act for the installation of such facilities and precludes consideration by the public of the aesthetic, the nuisance, and environmental impacts of these facilities, all of which are particularly important when the proposed locations of facilities is in a residential zone. The bill strips local government of the authority to protect the quality of life of our residents and to protect public property and the public right-of-way from relatively unconstrained access by small cells. SB 649 goes too far by requiring local governments to approve small cells in all land use zones, including residential zones, through a ministerial permit, thereby shutting the public out of decisions that could affect the aesthetics of their community and the quality of their environment. For these reasons, the City of Santa Rosa opposes your SB 649. Sincerely, Chris Corsi. My question to all of you is, so what happened between February and May? Why would you basically vote for our city's own SB 649 while opposing the state's? Thank you.
Vic Trioni, followed by Jennifer Hegeman.
Good evening. You know, 40 years ago, I would be in front of this group quite often as a developer. That's when I had hair. I guess it was here about 2 years ago for SAY. I have no objection to the cell towers, but I really think that in a residential neighborhood, they're really problematic. We live 2451 Gross Avenue in the Proctor Terrace area. And we were not notified about this project. I noticed some chalk marks out on Friday in front of the house, and and then just yesterday I found out what it was all about. Having a facility like this 20 feet away from a bedroom, I think is really problematic. I would suggest also there was a great piece last Wednesday at KPIX. You can go to it. A lady by the name of Julie Watts, if you believe Watts, and was interviewing Assemblyman from Hayward, Bill Quirk. And Piedmont is wrestling with the same thing you guys are doing. It's a pretty good piece. It was pointed out at one time that they had these cell towers at fire stations on either side. And it was determined that there were some severe problems mentally, and they did some CAT scans of the firefighters. And it was Bill Quirk passed an assembly bill banning these cell phones at fire stations, cell towers at fire stations. So we take that for whatever it's worth. But anyway, thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Jennifer Hegeman, followed by Gregory Fearon.
I'm also opposed to the cell phone towers, as my daughter, her bedroom is just right across the street from one that's going to be placed next month on Neotomas Avenue, and we're really hoping that that doesn't happen. And so are many of our neighbors that also have children.